So spending 8 hours a day behind a computer screen is probably not your dream lifestyle. And you know how some people can just shut their eyes and take a nap and fall asleep whenever they want. This is exactly what you want to be able to do with work, so you can be very efficient. Because if you can be productive, all you really need is 4 hours every day to be efficient with your work and enjoy the rest of your day to live your dream lifestyle. So you want to be able to work just as much as you enjoy your day, doing the things you are really passionate about, spending time with friends, just enjoying life and not being stuck in your office. And today I'm going to teach you a few very important concepts so that you can make the most out of your work sessions and be the most efficient you can be. And I know it feels weird to talk about a 4-hour day because we are so used to the 9 to 5 schedule, but let's have a look at it. 9 to 5 minus 1 hour for your lunch break, that's 7 hours of you supposedly working. But that's not taking into account the 10 to 15 minutes of you getting to the office, starting your computer, pouring yourself a cup of tea, saying hello to your colleagues. Same things around 5 p.m. when you're about to leave. You are probably done with your work 5, 10, 15 minutes before you actually clock out. That's not taking into account the digestion after your lunch break, the interruptions from your colleagues or just the casual conversations, the occasional coffee breaks, the email that you did not expect that had to kind of change your schedule, the phone calls. And this is not even everything yet, because the 21st century plague of scrolling, as a regular human being, you are probably scrolling at least 3-4 times during the day on your phone, on social media. If you're working on your computer, it's very hard to not browse the internet every once in a while. So really, out of those 7 hours where you are supposedly working, you probably only get 5 hours of actual work, but low quality work, because you've been so distracted throughout the day that you don't get things done very intensely. All that to say that everything you've done between 9 to 5 could have done in 4 hours if it was a very productive work session and that you had the right tools to make the most out of this time. So what you need to make this plan work is to get those 4 hours in different ways. Either in one big block, early in the morning would be the best, I would say. Otherwise, you can divide it into 2-hour session and maybe 3 1.5 hour sessions that will counterbalance it. I would say if you can do everything in the morning when your brain is sharp, and then once it's done, you can just do absolutely whatever you want and you know you've been productive for that day. So we want to learn to be able to click our brain and get into work mode as fast as possible. Just like the example I gave you about the persons being able to just shut their eyes and fall asleep. This is what we want to be able to do. Because if we plan to be very efficient and time limited with our work sessions, we want to be able to instantly jump into our work and make sure we can be efficient. And for that, we need to train our brain. And I've got 2 exercises I recommend you to do to train your brain to be able to focus, to be very clear and sharp on a task so that you can be sure to be as efficient as possible. The first thing is going to be reading. Reading, on top of teaching you a lot of things and being a great activity that once you're used to doing, it's a very enjoyable habit. But reading is a great exercise to train your brain to have a tunnel vision on one task and one task only, and to build some stamina and endurance of having all your senses focused on one thing and not feel tired after 10, 15, 20 minutes. You want to be able to carry on as long as possible, and a 30 minutes to an hour reading session is a really, really great workout for your brain to practice being very focused on a specific task. But the other thing is going to be meditation, because meditation teaches you not to be bothered or distracted by outside elements. Could be outside elements like noises or people going around, but also your brain, because your brain tends to have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative inspiration, and always want to distract you and always want to have you do things that maybe are more enjoyable. So if you can learn to build some walls around yourself and protect yourself from these distractions, on top of, sorry for the alarm, on top of being able to focus really well on a task, you will have a brain very sharp and ready to get into a very productive work session. To carry on with this idea of teaching your brain to be very efficient, you want to keep it as sharp as possible. So the very most important thing you want to be able to do is to not scroll, especially not before the work is done. Try and think of your brain as a phone battery. You start the day at 100% battery because you've charged during the night, but some activities are really demanding in energy. And scrolling, it implies a lot of senses, a lot of dopamine, it's a lot of distraction, and it drains your battery so much. And it's very hard to be very efficient and have a lot of intensity in what you do when your brain battery is already at 50%. So if you can get all those 4 hours of work when your battery is still at 100, 90, 80%, you will be very efficient, very fast, and get done with the work very fast as well. Of course, proper sleep is very important. This is what allows you to reach this 100% battery marker. Caffeine can really help you with not feeling tired, being in the zone. However, I sometimes think that caffeine also excites me a bit too much, and it ends up doing the opposite of me struggling to just be calm and quiet on a task. And this is why L-theanine that you find in tea is actually much more interesting, because L-theanine, sometimes combined with caffeine, helps you stay in this very relaxed and focused and calm state of mind that is usually better for better focus. Caffeine is mostly great for physical things. You know, if you have a long drive or a long day of hiking or an intense workout, then caffeine will give you the power necessary to push through it. But when you need some more mental clarity and energy, L-theanine, therefore drinking tea, is going to be better for you. Being efficient with these work sessions will require you to be distraction-free, and so you want to work with a clean desk, no distraction, phone on silent, have a clear to-do list of the task you want to do, because it's very hard to jump into work and figure it out as you are here. No, you want to start your work knowing exactly what you are expected to do. Try to set yourself goals on output, not on input. That means don't have a goal of just work on this presentation, because you don't know how much is required from you to get through that task. But instead, say, complete 20 slides from this presentation. Or better yet, finish and send the presentation to X. This is an output-based goal, and it is much better because you know exactly what you're expected to do. You are sure that when you are done with this task, it's actually something produced and finished and something that you can move on from. So this is the kind of task you want to have for yourself on your to-do list, not just generic, send a few emails, do some prospection, and work on this presentation. That doesn't mean anything. Another tip I can give you, if you need to train yourself to do some longer, more intense work sessions, distraction-free, and build some stamina, the Pomodoro method is actually really, really useful. So the idea is that you work for 25 minutes on a task, and after these 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. Of course, try and keep this 5-minute break screen-free, but if you can use these 5 minutes to, make yourself another cup of tea, go to the toilet, stretch a little bit, walk around your apartment, go back to your task. This will allow you to keep going and keep going. And it's crazy because it's a very cliche technique, but I've been so impressed at how quickly an hour can go by when you do this method. And so it kind of makes time go very fast. And so these 4 hours go by just like that. And you can be very efficient with your time and get a lot of things done. Whereas if you set yourself a too long period of time to do a certain task, you're most likely going to, take your time, push it to the end, because your brain knows that you don't actually need an hour to do that. You only need 20 minutes. And so you will just do nothing until you finally need to get it done. And this is just a waste of time we'd rather spend elsewhere. As I said in the beginning, the point is to build a routine and a system that allows you to work whenever you want, wherever you want, because this is most likely the type of lifestyle that you want to have. You want to be able to work in a cafe, in a hotel, if you're traveling, if you're visiting friends, parents, family, you're spending time with your girlfriend in another country, and you still want to find those 3, 4, 5 hours every day to get your work done. This is very important to train yourself to work in different locations. And on top of that, I think it breaks the routine. This is also the kind of freedom we want to have, to not have to be locked in the same room every day. So to practice all of these things, try and do them in different locations. Could be different locations even within your house or your apartment. Otherwise, go to a coffee shop, go to a library, go to a hotel, bar, anything that is a different environment that inspires you to work on the go, to feel like you can work anywhere and everywhere. This will really boost you and train you to be efficient regardless of where you are. It's like when I was a beginner reader, I could only read if I locked myself in a room with a very dim light just on the pages. I had to have no sound, no distractions, nothing. And so if my girlfriend was, scrolling or watching YouTube next to me, I just couldn't focus on my book, and my brain would start listening to the video. So practicing reading will train you for this focus, but also working in other environments will teach you to have these walls around yourself, where regardless of where you are in the world, you can still get the work done without being distracted by what's going on. This is a real skill that you want to master, because when you have that finally, you are finally able to be a free entrepreneur, to work wherever you are and get the most out of your day, so that you can be done with your work and move on with the rest of your life and do the things that really matter to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about lifestyle design and how to build your dream lifestyle and become the person you want to be, you can subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you around. See you guys.